Hello everyone, and welcome back! I'm Alvin of Alvin Inc., and if you clicked on this video, you're probably curious about what the Fairycore aesthetic is, and how it relates to Animal Crossing New Horizons. Well, today I put together a comprehensive guide to all things Fairycore. The topics we will be discussing include what Fairycore is, terraforming tips and ideas, custom pathing and other design codes, ideas for which items are commonly used on Fairycore Islands, what are some common villagers for Fairycore Islands, and lastly, is Fairycore right for you? So pull up a chair, grab a warm cup of tea, and follow me into the world of Fairycore. Let's start by establishing an understanding of what the Fairycore aesthetic even is. The term aesthetic means the set of principles underlining and guiding the creative works of artists and crafters. This means that since the Fairycore aesthetic tends to focus on themes of nature and pastel colors like whites, pinks, purples, blues, and greens, that when designing a Fairycore style island, we often keep nature and pastel colors in mind and at the forefront throughout our island building and design. Fairycore emphasizes magic and wonder, curiosity and fantasy. It's quite common that players who want to focus on Fairycore will weave throughout their island areas and items that inspire a sense of wonder and create a feeling when traversing the island that you're in a fantasy world of make-believe. One common feature of Fairycore Islands is designing a fairy circle, often by using the 6 island rocks, shrubs, stumps, and flowers. As you build your Fairycore Island, think about the kind of things that spark your own curiosity and what feels magical and whimsical to you. Craft and build areas on your island that play to your own fantasies and ideas of what a magical world could be. Now we're going to look at some examples of Fairycore Island design, and we'll talk a bit about the terraforming ideas and tips that we have. We'll be looking at 3 different Fairycore Islands, and we'll be discussing the similarities and differences. I'm also including the Dream Addresses and Island Creators media links in the description if you'd like to check out more of their work. The first island we'll be discussing is Styx. Looking at the map of Styx, what really jumps out to me is all of the water terraforming. The island creator made lots of small ponds and mini islands all over their map, and they even have small waterfalls pouring down from like cliffs over the water, and that's a really cool feature to have. To move across the island, there are even some areas that you have to hop across the water to access. And I also noticed a mix of wide open areas along with narrow pathways. The island creator used lots of bridges made of wood, like the Suspension Bridge and the Zen Bridge. And the villagers' homes are a bit spread out, so it's almost like you're going on a journey to get to each of the villagers' houses, which is kind of a cool design feature. The next island I'll be sharing with you is called Rosebell. Rosebell also focuses a lot on water terraforming. The island creator made lots of small, tight areas of streams, and they included a lot of small islands. But one of the main features of this island is the Crescent Moon Island. Crescent Moon Islands and lakes are pretty popular for Fairycore Islands. I've noticed a lot of creators really emphasize the moon and stars on their islands. Often, you'll find stargazing areas, fortune-telling stalls, and spellcasting circles on Fairycore Islands that really hone in on creating a sense of magic and wonder throughout the island. The creator of Rosebell also heavily focused on utilizing statues throughout their island, which I think gives the island an artistic flair, and the statues really pique my curiosity. The last map that we'll be looking at today is of Roseleaf. Roseleaf and Rosebell are both springtime islands, and it seems that most Fairycore Islands that I've seen tend to be set to the springtime. On Roseleaf, we see a lot of commonalities with the other 2 islands, like narrow pathways and lots of small ponds, streams, and mini islands. There's also quite a few small areas in the land that have been terraformed up into small mountains and cliffs. These small areas frame and shape the land, and the creator used a lot of nature to fill in these spaces. These small areas do not have inclines to access them, and most of them have small waterfalls that pour off into the rivers and ponds scattered across the island beneath them. When it comes to terraforming on a Fairycore island, it's pretty clear that water is often a main focus. So as you work on creating your own Fairycore island, consider adding winding rivers and lakes, small ponds, and maybe even some waterfalls. Perhaps keep most of your pathways on the lower ground levels and build up cliffs that are bursting with nature all around them. Remember to just take the process step by step and to create something that feels magical and wondrous to you. Alright, so now we're moving on to pathing and custom designs for Fairycore Islands. I'll be showing you some of my favorite custom designs, and if I can find the right codes, I'll display them on the screen. All of the codes that I'll be showing you, along with some additional codes, will be listed in the description box. I hope you find some good inspiration, and if you're needing it, even some direction with which codes to use and prioritize for your Fairycore Island. Let's get started! While I was exploring sticks, I found this amazing stump design, but I could not find the code for it anywhere. But I did find some other stumps. These are some codes for some stumps that I found that I think are perfect for a Fairycore island, and I hope that you enjoy them. On sticks, I also found this amazing design on the beach, but again, I could not find the code. But I did find a couple of other designs that I think are perfect for the beach, and I hope you enjoy them. While I was on Roseleaf, I found this amazing stone path, but I couldn't find the code. However, I did find this stone path, and the code is on the screen now. I think this path is gorgeous, and this is probably one of my absolute favorite. I love this like rose path, and this is a beautiful grass path that I love, and that like butterfly pond, gorgeous. Another common aspect of Fairycore Islands is scattering small custom designs all over your island. This can include hearts, stepping stones, wooden plank paths, mushroom circles, flowers, and really anything else that you find beautiful, mysterious, and most importantly, fun. Here are a few codes that I found that I really enjoy, and hopefully you like some of these as well. Or, at the very least, may they inspire you as you find additional custom codes for yourself. The last few custom designs that we'll be discussing are custom clothing designs. I'm sharing with you the codes of some designs that I think are fun and beautiful and that really fit the Fairycore theme as I envision. Again, I hope that you enjoy these designs and hopefully find some inspiration for dressing as your most fairy-tastic self. Enjoy! Now we'll be discussing what types of items are most common for crafting a Fairycore themed island. Some of the most popular items include the cushions and Zen cushion piles. Most of the time, they'll be customized with pastel-colored designs, and if you stack two on top of each other, it's often a good idea to give them separate designs that pop individually, but still mesh together as well. Statues are also very common on Fairycore Islands. It may be a bit of a pain obtaining the specific statues that you want from Red, but it can really be worth the effort to accomplish the effect you're after. Mush lamps and pretty much any of the arches are also excellent items to use. Lights are super helpful in transmitting Fairycore vibes as well. The hyacinth lamp, candles, garden lanterns, and Nova lights are some really common items that you'll see scattered around Fairycore themed islands. Often the candles can be placed on the second tier ledges of a narrow pathway to create kind of a mystical effect as you walk through. And absolutely remember to utilize nature. Vibrant flowers, shrubs, and trees are essential for Fairycore items, and don't be afraid to intermix some bamboo with your trees. You can create a really nice, mystical jungle effect. And if you have any extra mushrooms that you aren't using, just drop them around the island. They're small, but can have a huge impact. Now it's time for us to talk about which of the nearly 400 Animal Crossing villagers generally fit best with Fairycore Islands. Let's get into it. So, first off, remember that your island is your island. Really just focus on getting the villagers that you enjoy, and try not to worry too much about the villagers themselves. However, broadly speaking, The most common characteristics of villagers that best fit with the Fairycore themed island include soft, light-colored villagers, and definitely any villager that has a pastel color scheme. These are the villagers from the 3 islands which have been featured in this video. As you can see, most of these villagers fit the idea of being a soft color. Let's check out a few specific villagers that I really think fit the Fairycore theme quite well. Right off the bat, I would say that it's nearly unanimous that both Judy and Diana are the epitome of what a Fairycore themed villager looks like. They've got a really nice pastel coloring, and both of them kind of have this whimsical, mystical vibe about them. And in my opinion, Sherb follows right behind them. He's one of my favorite villagers, and I have him on my own Fairycore themed island, and I just absolutely adore him. Some other villagers to consider if you want a little guidance with picking your island villagers could be Sharon. I don't know how to pronounce her name properly, but she is adorable. She's got this light color to her and is honestly, I think, a pretty common Fairycore villager. And Daisy is also a great choice. She's got this gorgeous pastel coloring, and for me, she just seems like a really calm villager, and like she calms me down whenever I see her, so I appreciate that about her. And Lily is a great choice. She's one of my favorite frog villagers, and she fits in perfectly on a Fairycore island that has a lot of water and places to hop. And Julian is another favorite of mine. He's a unicorn. How can you get any more mystical and magical than that? And honestly, I adore Chester. I don't see him often on Fairycore Islands, but to me, he just screams Fairycore. He's got this look like he would live in a fantasy forest, and he's just the cutest little cuddle cub. These are some of my favorite choices for Fairycore villagers. And again, remember that there is no such thing as a perfect villager, so really just choose the ones that you connect with the most. And honestly, it can be kind of a fun challenge decorating and incorporating unconventional villager choices into your Fairycore Island theme. So at the end of the day, just have fun with it and have at it. And now there's only one other matter we need to talk about. Is Fairycore right for you? To recap, Fairycore, at least as I've come to understand it, is about nature, fantasy, and curiosity. Realistically, there are no real constraints when it comes to how you want to describe and build your island. Honestly, some of the most stunning and breathtaking islands aren't constrained to only one aesthetic theme. So feel free to play around with different ideas and concepts, and who knows what you'll create. Perhaps you'll start with the next big Animal Crossing trend. But when it comes to Fairycore, it's a great island theme to start playing around with because of its focus on nature. Viewing and crafting your island through the lens of Fairycore can enable you to project your fantasies and imagination onto the canvas that is your island. If you love pastels and soft colors, if you love nature, trees, and flowers, if you're willing to try your hand at even a little terraforming, Fairycore is a great theme to cultivate. So if you'd like to give it a try and maybe just start small, focus on your hybrid flower breeding to get yourself some pink lilies, or just make a heart-shaped pond and place some custom design hearts around it. However you start, what's important is that you enjoy the journey. Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a little bit more about what the Fairycore aesthetic is. If you enjoyed the video, do remember to leave a like and to subscribe, and tell me if I missed anything when it comes to Fairycore. I look forward to sharing with you again soon. Happy holidays! See you in the next one. Bye!